Imagine this. You are standing on the Las Vegas Strip. The noise is a symphony of excitement. Towering hotels glitter with a million lights, their shapes cutting into the dark desert sky. Fountains dance to music, shooting water hundreds of feet into the air. People from all over the world are here, dressed in their finest, laughing and celebrating. They are here for the fantasy, the promise of luck and luxury that this city sells so well. It is a place built on dreams, where anything feels possible. But then, you see something that doesn't fit the picture. At a busy intersection, a manhole cover shifts. A person emerges from the darkness below, blinking against the overwhelming brightness of the city. This is the other Las Vegas. It's a side that doesn't appear on the postcards or in the glossy travel brochures. For every winner celebrating at a high-stakes poker table, there are countless others who have lost everything. The city's dazzling facade masks a harsh and growing reality. Thousands of people are living without a home. They are not just statistics. They are individuals with stories, families, and pasts. They live in the shadows of the very casinos that draw millions of visitors each year. Their struggle for survival happens just out of sight, a stark contrast to the opulence that defines this city's global image. It's a tale of two cities, existing side by side but worlds apart. The contrast is jarring and impossible to ignore once you see it. The same streets that host parades and high-end shoppers are also the sleeping quarters for men and women with nowhere else to go. They seek shade from the relentless sun under the very billboards that promise fortune and fame. This city, a playground for the wealthy, can be a brutal landscape for the poor. The illusion of endless opportunity shatters when you realize how many people are trapped in a cycle of poverty, addiction, and despair. The energy of the Strip feels different when you know what lies just beneath the surface, both literally and figuratively. And so, we must ask ourselves, how can so much wealth and so much poverty exist in the same place? Las Vegas is a city that thrives on reinvention, on building bigger and brighter attractions. Yet, it struggles to address the fundamental human crisis unfolding within its own community. The story of homelessness here is not just about a lack of shelter. It's about the systems that fail people, the economic pressures that push them to the brink, and the social invisibility that allows their suffering to continue. To truly understand Las Vegas, we have to look past the neon and into the shadows where its most vulnerable residents live. The numbers tell a story that the city's glamour tries to hide. In early 2025, the annual point-in-time count revealed a startling truth. More than 6,500 people were experiencing homelessness on any given night in southern Nevada. This was a significant increase from the previous year, continuing a worrying trend that has been escalating for a while now. What's even more concerning is that experts believe this number is a dramatic undercount. It only captures a snapshot in time. The true figure, including those who are couch surfing, living in weekly motels, or hidden from view, is likely much higher. The problem is not just persistent, it is growing at an alarming rate. This rise in homelessness is directly linked to another crisis: the lack of affordable housing. Las Vegas has become one of the least affordable metropolitan areas in the United States. While the city's economy relies heavily on service industry jobs in tourism and hospitality, the wages for these jobs have not kept pace with the soaring cost of living. The average rent for a one-bedroom flat has skyrocketed, pushing stable housing out of reach for many low-wage workers. A single unexpected expense, a medical bill, a car repair, can be enough to tip a family into homelessness. There simply are not enough affordable places for people to live. The statistics paint a grim picture of who is most affected. We see veterans who served their country now sleeping on its streets. We see families with young children, their entire lives packed into a car. We see a growing number of older adults, pushed out of their homes by rising rents on a fixed income. The pandemic of the early 2020s made a bad situation even worse. It dismantled the fragile support systems many people relied on. Eviction moratoriums provided temporary relief, but when they ended, a wave of newly homeless individuals and families flooded the already strained social services system. The economic aftershocks are still being felt today. The data also reveals the limitations of the current support network. For the thousands of people without a home, there are only about 2,000 emergency shelter beds available in the entire Las Vegas Valley. This creates a desperate daily lottery for a safe place to sleep. The majority are left unsheltered, forced to fend for themselves in parks, under bridges, or in the harsh desert landscape that surrounds the city. The numbers are not just abstract figures. They represent a massive gap between the scale of the problem and the resources allocated to solve it. It is a mathematical certainty that on any given night, thousands will be left outside. There is no single cause of homelessness in Las Vegas. Instead, it is a perfect storm of interconnected issues that creates a powerful current, pulling people under. At the heart of it all is the economic structure of the city itself. Las Vegas runs on a low-wage, service-based economy. While the casinos and hotels generate immense profits, many of the jobs they provide, in housekeeping, food service, and security, offer wages that are simply not enough to live on. This creates a large population of the working poor. These are people who have jobs, sometimes more than one, but still cannot afford the basic necessity of a roof over their head. They are perpetually one step away from disaster. Beyond the economic pressures, mental health and addiction play a significant role. For many, the streets are not a choice, but a last resort after battling inner demons without adequate support. Untreated mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe depression can make it impossible to hold down a job or maintain stable housing. Similarly, substance addiction can destroy lives, drain finances, and sever family ties. Las Vegas, with its 24/7 culture of indulgence and easy access to alcohol and drugs, can be a particularly dangerous place for those struggling with addiction. The services available are often overwhelmed and underfunded, leaving many to self-medicate and spiral further into crisis. The lack of a robust social safety net makes everything worse. Many people arrive in Las Vegas drawn by the promise of a fresh start, only to find that there are few resources to catch them if they fall. Unlike other major cities, the support infrastructure here is relatively new and has not grown in proportion to the city's population boom. Accessing help can be a confusing and demoralizing process. There are long waiting lists for mental health services, addiction treatment programs, and housing assistance. This systemic failure leaves vulnerable individuals isolated and without a clear path to recovery and stability. They are left to navigate a complex and often unforgiving system on their own. Finally, we cannot overlook the simple, tragic role of bad luck. A sudden job loss, a debilitating illness, a divorce, or the death of a partner can shatter a stable life with shocking speed. Many of the people living on the streets once had homes, careers, and families. They never imagined they would end up in this situation. For them, homelessness was not a gradual decline, but a sudden plunge. In a city that celebrates winners, there is little room for those who have stumbled. The combination of low wages, high living costs, and a lack of support creates a treacherous environment where one piece of bad fortune can lead to a total loss of security. For those without a home in Las Vegas, every day is a battle for survival. The first and most pressing challenge is finding a safe place to rest. The competition for a shelter bed is fierce. People line up for hours, often in the blistering sun, hoping to secure a spot for the night. Those who don't make it are forced to find a place to sleep in the open. They look for spots under bridges, in alleyways, or in desert washes, always aware of the risks. They face the constant threat of being told to move by police, or worse, being robbed or assaulted. Sleep is rarely deep or restful. It is a state of high alert, listening for any sign of danger. The desert climate is a relentless adversary. In the summer, temperatures regularly soar above 40 degrees Celsius. The concrete and asphalt of the city radiate heat, creating an urban oven effect. Finding shade and water becomes a life-or-death mission. Dehydration and heat stroke are constant dangers, sending many to emergency rooms. Then, in the winter, the desert nights can be surprisingly cold, with temperatures dropping near freezing. Without proper clothing or shelter, the risk of hypothermia is very real. The extreme weather adds a layer of physical misery to the already immense psychological burden of being homeless. It is a fight against the elements, day in and day out. Violence and exploitation are a constant reality of life on the streets. People experiencing homelessness are far more likely to become victims of crime than the general population. They are seen as easy targets. Their belongings are often stolen, their temporary shelters destroyed. Women are particularly vulnerable to assault and exploitation. The lack of privacy and security makes them targets. This constant state of fear takes a heavy toll. It erodes trust and leaves people feeling isolated and perpetually unsafe. The psychological trauma of living in such conditions can be just as damaging as the physical hardships. Amidst the struggle, there is also a sense of community, however fragile. People form small groups for protection and support. They share information about where to find food, water, or a safe place to sleep. They look out for one another. But this sense of community is always under threat. Shelter rules can separate couples and families. Police sweeps can break up encampments, scattering people and destroying the social networks they rely on. The daily grind of survival is an exhausting, lonely, and dangerous existence, lived in the shadows of one of the world's most extravagant cities. Beneath the glittering casinos and bustling streets of Las Vegas lies a hidden world. A vast network of storm tunnels designed to protect the city from flash floods stretches for hundreds of miles under the ground. For an unknown number of people, these dark, concrete tubes have become a permanent home. They are the tunnel dwellers. They live in complete darkness, save for the light of a torch or a candle. They have moved down here to escape the dangers of the streets above, seeking refuge from the extreme weather and the threat of violence. It is a subterranean existence, hidden from the eyes of the world. Life in the tunnels is a trade-off. It offers a degree of privacy and protection that is impossible to find on the streets. People create makeshift homes here, furnishing their small sections of the tunnel with discarded items, a mattress, a chair, a small table. They form close-knit communities, warning each other of dangers and sharing resources. However, this underground life comes with its own set of grave risks. The primary danger is the very purpose of the tunnel's water. A sudden desert rainstorm can turn these drains into raging rivers in a matter of minutes, sweeping away belongings and threatening lives. The walls are marked with water lines, a constant reminder of the potential for disaster. Organizations like Shine a Light, founded by author Matthew O'Brien, who first chronicled this hidden world, are working to make a difference. Volunteers go into the tunnels, bringing food, water, and other essential supplies. Their main goal is to build trust and connect the residents with services above ground. They offer a lifeline, a connection to the outside world. They try to persuade people to leave the tunnels and enter programs for housing, addiction treatment, and mental health care. But building that trust is a slow and difficult process. Many tunnel dwellers are wary of the world above, which they feel has rejected them. The reasons people choose to live in the tunnels are complex. Many are battling severe addiction or mental health issues and find the isolation of the tunnels helps them cope, away from the judgment of society. Some are hiding from law enforcement. Others simply feel safer in the dark than they do on the bright, exposed streets. It is a testament to how dangerous and unwelcoming the world above can be. that hundreds of people would choose to live in a dark, damp, and potentially lethal storm drain. Their existence is perhaps the most extreme example of the hidden homelessness crisis in Las Vegas. To understand the human face of this crisis, you need to hear the stories of people like Carl Graves. Carl was not someone you would ever have expected to become homeless. He was a skilled casino carpenter, a union man who helped build the very resorts that define the city's skyline. For years, he had a good job, a steady income, and a home. He was part of the city's engine, a proud worker contributing to its growth. But in his late 50s, a workplace injury changed everything. It left him with chronic pain and unable to continue the physically demanding work he had done his whole life. His world began to unravel. Without his job, Carl quickly burned through his savings. He lost his home. The pain from his injury led to a dependence on painkillers, which spiraled into a more serious addiction. Suddenly, the man who had helped build the city found himself living on its streets. He ended up in the storm tunnels, seeking shelter from the elements and the shame he felt. His story is a powerful reminder of how quickly a life can change. It shows how homelessness is not a character flaw, but often the result of a series of unfortunate events, an injury, a job loss, an addiction, without a safety net to break the fall. For a long time, Carl lived in the darkness, both literally and figuratively. He was one of the many invisible people living below the city he helped create. But outreach workers, like those from Shine a Light, found him. They didn't give up on him. They visited him regularly, bringing food and conversation. Slowly, they built a relationship based on trust. They offered him a way out, a path to recovery. It was a long and difficult journey. Leaving the tunnels and confronting his addiction was one of the hardest things he had ever had to do. But with support, he found the strength to try. Today, Carl's story offers a glimmer of hope. He managed to get into a treatment program and is now in housing. He has become an advocate, sharing his experience to shed light on the crisis and fight the stigma associated with homelessness and addiction. He works to help others who are still trapped in the cycle he escaped. His journey from a union carpenter to a tunnel dweller and now to an advocate is a powerful testament to human resilience, but it also serves as a stark warning. If it can happen to a man like Carl, it can happen to anyone. Living without a home is a public health crisis in itself. The physical and mental toll is immense. People on the streets have little to no access to preventative health care. They cannot simply make a doctor's appointment for a checkup. Minor health issues like a cut or a cough can quickly escalate into serious infections or chronic conditions when left untreated. The lack of sanitation, poor nutrition, and constant exposure to the elements create a perfect environment for disease to thrive. Chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, and respiratory diseases are incredibly difficult to manage without stable housing, a place to store medication, or a healthy diet. The streets are a brutal environment for mental health. The constant stress, fear, and trauma of homelessness can cause or worsen conditions like depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Many people are already struggling with mental illness when they become homeless, and the experience on the streets only makes it worse. The stigma surrounding mental health, combined with a severe shortage of psychiatric services, means that most go without treatment. They are left to cope on their own, sometimes leading to behaviors that are misunderstood by the public and can result in contact with the criminal justice system instead of the healthcare system. When health problems become emergencies, the only option is often the hospital emergency room. Local hospitals report that a significant percentage of their emergency visits are from homeless individuals. They are often treated for conditions that could have been prevented with basic primary care, such as complications from uncontrolled diabetes or severe dehydration. This is not only a terribly inefficient and expensive way to provide care, but it also does little to address the root causes of their health problems. Once they are stabilized, they are often discharged back to the same conditions that made them sick in the first place, creating a revolving door of crisis care. The impact of this health crisis is devastating. The average life expectancy for a person experiencing chronic homelessness is decades shorter than that of the general population. They suffer from health conditions typically seen in people who are much older. It is a silent epidemic, unfolding on our streets every day. The lack of access to consistent, compassionate health care is one of the most significant barriers to helping people exit homelessness. A person cannot focus on finding a job or housing if they are in constant pain, battling a serious illness, or struggling with a severe mental health crisis. Health and housing are inextricably linked. In the face of this growing crisis, Las Vegas is not standing entirely still. There are dedicated people and organizations working tirelessly to make a difference. Local government and non-profit groups operate shelters, soup kitchens, and day centers that provide immediate relief. The Courtyard Homeless Resource Center offers a central hub where people can access mail services, get a shower, and connect with case managers. Charities and faith-based groups distribute food, water, and clothing. These efforts are a critical lifeline for thousands, providing a measure of dignity and support in a desperate situation. They are the frontline responders in a city at war with poverty. However, these efforts, while heroic, are not enough. They are treating the symptoms of the crisis, not the root causes. The scale of the problem far outstrips the available resources. Shelters are constantly full, outreach teams are stretched thin, and funding is always limited. There's a fundamental disconnect between the city's ability to generate billions in revenue and its investment in a social safety net for its most vulnerable residents. As long as housing remains unaffordable and wages remain stagnant for a large part of the workforce, people will continue to fall into homelessness faster than they can be helped. The system is overwhelmed. What is needed is a shift in perspective. We need to move beyond emergency responses and towards long-term solutions. This means a serious commitment to building more affordable housing. It means investing in comprehensive mental health and addiction treatment services that are accessible to everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. It means supporting programs that provide job training and pathways to living wage employment. It requires a housing-first approach, which recognizes that people need the stability of a home before they can effectively address other issues like health and employment. These are not simple solutions, but they are necessary ones. Ultimately, the future of Las Vegas depends on its ability to reconcile its two faces. A city that calls itself the entertainment capital of the world cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering in its own backyard. The solution begins with empathy. It begins with seeing the person, not the stereotype. It requires us to acknowledge that the people sleeping in the tunnels and under the freeways are a part of our community. They are a reflection of our society's failures. A city built on dreams must ensure that the most basic dream of all, the dream of a safe and stable home, is not an impossible one for so many of its own citizens.